In tonight's Eye on America, Bob Faw looks at the pros and cons of affirmative action.
Hi, everybody. Hello. How you doing?
This is the way affirmative action is supposed to look. 43-year-old Mon Williams, recruited and promoted by the Xerox Corporation, largely because she is black and female.
If I was to look back 20 years ago, never would have thought that today I'd be sitting here in a highly competitive role as Vice President National Sales Manager.
Affirmative action has been good for Black America because it's enabled millions of black people to rise from obscurity, poverty, toil of the long day's road into decent jobs.
But down corporate corridors and on college campuses, all that good has come with a very high price tag. Listen to this affirmative action baby at the University of Michigan.
I had a student very vocal with me and told me that I didn't belong here because I was only here because I was black and I was not qualified.
Delin Ponte says he has felt the backlash. Students who benefit from affirmative action made to feel unwelcome and unworthy.
There have been instances where there has been graffiti written on the wall, on the elevators, using words as niggers, go home, you know, you don't belong here, anti-affirmative action type of articles pasted up on walls.
They are not yet freed from the bonds of injustice.
30 years ago, President Kennedy ordered contractors doing business with the federal government to hire minorities, affirmative action to promote equal opportunity. Since then, embittered whites who feel they've been pushed aside or passed over have condemned the preferential treatment as unfair, un-American.
Now there's a new group that's getting trampled, and it's us, and we don't like it anymore.
Political campaigns have even been won largely by appealing to that sense of outrage.
You needed that job, and you were the best qualified, but they had to give it to a minority because of a racial quota. Is that really fair?
What is new now is that the criticism of affirmative action is coming not from disgruntled whites, but from people like Clarence Thomas and other black conservatives who argue that it makes blacks rely too much on handouts, too little on self-reliance.
It's caused us, I think, to become dependent on the notion that our only power comes from the redress we can get from American society, from government.
And, says Steele, it hasn't worked. Despite affirmative action, black college students graduated about half the rate of whites. More black men are in prison or on parole than in college classrooms. What affirmative action really does, says Steele, is tell blacks, you're inferior.
Every single black who's hired, every black in America lives with the stigma today. Look how fascinating this is. We've turned around and created a new system to stigmatize a race with inferiority that has suffered from the stigma of inferiority for 350 years.
So it's backfired.
It's backfired.
I almost cry with pity or with rage when I read those statements from black conservatives, because every one of them is the beneficiary of affirmative action. It's selfish, short-sighted, stupid, narrow, regressive. It looks as if they're saying, I climbed up the steps of affirmative action, but now since I've got my perch with the other folk, I'm going to cut the ladder off so nobody else can get up here.
I'm doing just fine.
Mon Williams and others now climbing that ladder thanks to affirmative action say they have to work twice as hard now to prove they belong. What they're also finding is that affirmative action can help only so much.
You can take that affirmative actions tag off of you anytime, but you can keep your black skin and you keep that stigma of being black in America.
So the affirmative action debate reaches well beyond the Thomas confirmation hearings. What, it asks, is the real cost of helping some people get a foot in the door? Bob Faw, CBS News, Ann Arbor, Michigan.